Good evening and welcome to the June 10th Kilva Hills Board of Commissioners meeting. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And before we enter our moment of silence, just two of our staff families to continue keeping in your thoughts. You may recall the last meeting I mentioned that John Rosaldi, our fire marshal, his wife had passed away, and the funeral was just a little over a week ago. And just a couple of days afterwards, Kelly Wind, one of our animal control officers, her husband Chris passed away. So if you'll please keep both of them and their families in your thoughts and prayers. And with that, I ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. First up on our agenda this evening is the agenda approval.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting with the removal of new business number 1.
Second as amended.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, please
Aye.
by saying aye.
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 Great, okay. All right, we have 2 public hearings scheduled for this evening. The first public hearing is called for the purpose of the Board of Commissioners to receive comments regarding proposed zoning amendment, Section 153.082, Section B2D exceptions, to add minimum distance of accessory structures from the primary structure, to add maximum number of accessory structures per site, and a maximum combined square footage accessory structures for commercial buildings. We had a sign up for this public hearing. We didn't have anyone sign up to speak at this particular public hearing, but if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to speak just on this topic, if you would raise your hand and we'll call you to the podium. Does anyone want to speak on this topic tonight? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing and open the floor for board discussion. Greg, as we're getting our thoughts together, do you mind doing a quick introduction for us?
I will make it brief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The amendment you have before you tonight is to the exceptions section of the accessory use structure greater than 6 inches above grade. And it basically deals with commercial structures. So we're trying to create some consistency between the residential section and the commercial section. And it limits, again, if you're not in the building envelope, if you're outside the building envelope, it limits the total number of structures to 3 structures, and the combined size cannot exceed 20% of the primary structure on the site. And they must maintain a distance of not less than 5 feet from the rear and side property lines and not less than 8 feet from the main principal or primary structure. And with that, the planning board recommended approval on April 16th, and if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Great, thank you. Okay, anyone have any questions or comments on this amendment? Okay, is there a motion in order?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the proposed zoning amendment 153.082 exceptions. Add minimum distance of accessory structures from the primary structure. Add maximum number of accessory structures per site and a maximum combined square footage of accessory structures for commercial buildings. The board finds that this proposed amendment to section 153.082 B2D exceptions is consistent with all comprehensive plans or other officially adopted plans of the town of Kill Devil Hills that are applicable, and that the amendment is reasonable and in the public interest because it allows for an adequate number and size of accessory structures while establishing regulations to limit their use and location on the site for both safety and aesthetics.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Any discussion or further comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
The second public hearing this evening is the public hearing for purpose of review or receiving comments on the recommended budget for fiscal year 2013 to 2014. Again, we had a sign-up sheet. We didn't have anyone sign up to speak at this public hearing, but if there is anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on the proposed budget, please raise your hand and we'll call on you. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on the budget this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing and open the floor for discussion or comments. Yes, Commissioner Pope.
I think that we have received some email traffic from some of our citizens suggesting that they feel that it would be appropriate to lower the tax load. But in the ones that I received, there were no specifics as to what services we might curtail to do that. I would like to suggest that it is appropriate to make suggestions like that. And that folks who, if people think that they see an area, is my mic on? Can you hear me? All right. Yeah, I think if our citizens see areas where they think that savings could be achieved, the Board of Commissioners ought to be happy to listen to it and see if it makes sense and that's something that we can achieve. But I, frankly, having looked at this budget somewhat in detail, I don't see that on my own right at the moment. But I certainly would entertain anybody's suggestion in that regard.
I know I received one email requesting that, but there weren't any specifics either, but I did receive one. Any other discussion? Do you want to?
Right, got it. Yeah, I have just a couple of things to add, if I may. Greg, do you have that thing I gave you there?
Yes,
Put up?
sir.
I passed this information on to the commissioners and town manager. Hopefully I kept a copy for myself. Somewhere. Oh, there it is, okay. Yeah, I received an email too. I think it's the same one we all received, and it wasn't any specifics other than, it was pretty general as far as just cutting the budget and well, it's just not as simple as it sounds. And I know this person didn't think it was simple, but failed to give specifics. Is that on the other side? I can't see it on this side. Okay. I would just like to suggest that for a couple of reasons. Number one, for the reason that we could use the revenue, we haven't had an increase other than we had 2 cents last year, I think 1 cent the year before, and I neglected to ask the previous years. There was either none, or the previous 3 or 4 years there was no raises or very minimal. And our costs are going up just like everybody else's, and the shared revenue is always an issue. And so far this year, what you see on the screen there is what is going to be proposed, what is proposed by the other towns. And any of them been approved at this point yet, do you know?
I know the Dare County.
Dare County.
but-
Dare County was approved, okay. And as you can see, Nag's Head's going up, Kitty Hawk, Duck.
And Nag's Head's budget was approved.
Pardon me?
And Nag's Head.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Nag's Head. And Manio, we're not sure yet, and I made a note there after talking to the finance department that sometimes they have a habit of waiting around to see what everybody else does and come in at the last, which I think we've done too, so I'm not criticizing it. If we go like we're doing right now, we're going to be behind as far as shared revenue is concerned, about $60,000. And just for a round number, a 1 cent increase, as you can see, with the actual revenue that would create, plus we would be on the plus side for shared revenue by about 45,000. That's what we would end up with. And I suggested at the last meeting that we might just round it up 0.91 to get up to an even number to help with the math, for me anywho. It's a lot easier. We would be 214 to the good. Figures for ad valorem and shared revenue there, as you see. And it didn't seem to be any consensus for that, so I thought, well, maybe if we just backed that up a little bit anyway and went for rounded up to 32.5, we'd still be behind on the shared revenue, but in the end, if you add in the ad valorem revenue, we would end up on the plus side. And further on down there, as of the last, or the reevaluation we just had, the median property value, I think most of you know what median is. It's not the average. It's throw out the high and the low, sort of come up with a reasonable figure. So if we raised it 0.91, it would cost a homeowner $17 a year, or $1.46 a month. And I'm not going to read all the figures there, but you can see that 0.41 would be about $8 a year, 64 cents a month. The same thing there is itemized for the average residential property. And then the commercial property, I think it bears noting there that a commercial property valued at over $800,000, their taxes would go up less than $75 a year. And $622 a month, which is about the cost of 1.5 beers. So anyway, and then there's a vacant lot figure down there. There's a fair number of those around town. Some of them are worth more depending where they are, of course. I think it'd be a good idea to consider this, and I know we still have time. We don't have to approve this. By law, it has to be done by the 30th of June. And in the meantime, Bill mentioned we'd like to hear from the public, and I maybe hear from the public and see what they think about this. Whether or not they would think this is a hardship, even based on the times that we have now. There's some of the folks that I've talked to, that I've approached, I haven't had anybody approach me about taxes personally, except for that one email. The people that I've spoken to, I've asked them what they thought, and a couple of them said, well, you know, we're going to be paying for beach nourishment. Maybe next year we're going to be having a special tax district for beach nourishment, and that's going to be a not insignificant figure as far as revenue we're going to need. And the psychology of that to me is if that is the reasoning that someone uses now for saying not to do anything this year, okay, then next year let's say we do it. Then the reasoning next year is, well, we can't do it because we're raising this revenue for beach nourishment. Then the year after that, somebody says, well, last year we just raised it for beach nourishment, so it wouldn't be fair to the public to raise it again. And next thing you know, you're 4 or 5 years down the road and we haven't done anything as far as the general revenue is concerned, being as the money that we're talking about for beach nourishment is earmarked for that purpose. We would get an increase in the shared revenue for the year that's done, like Nags Head did. Was it last year or year before? Whichever year it was. But so anyway, there's different reasons why people might think it's not a good idea. But we've talked about a lot of things that we would like to see done. One of the major things is sidewalks, and I have had some over a good bit of time. We've discussed on the planning board sidewalks, and right now staff is working on some information to present to us about sidewalks and what it would cost on the bypass. And we're really seriously considering doing some of these things. Revenue is something we're going to have to look at eventually. So that's what I have to say about it anyway, and the information is right there, and anybody would like to have it. Maybe I could get Mary, have it put on the website or something, would that be okay? Okay. Somewhere on there, and on the budget page, or if it's inconvenient, then we can, it's okay? All right, good. And we've avoided we avoided cuts in a lot of departments, and what we are talking about some reductions in the health insurance, and that in and of itself is could end up being a hardship on some people, depending on their health situation and their dependence on upcoming year. One of the main reasons why I think that's something that concerns me is because it's one of those things that once you give it up, you're not going to get it back. We all know that. If you give up some kind of a benefit nowadays, with whether it be insurance or vacation or sick days or something because of budget reasons, boards in the future are going to be very reluctant to come back and say, okay, now let's give our people back everything we took away. It generally doesn't happen. So I think one of the things that concerns me is when you take something away from when you make an adjustment in the budget like that, it's very difficult to get it back. So kind of look at it as a permanent thing. And I know insurance has gone up, and there's discussions about not to raise revenue because insurance, health insurance, obviously, as I just said, and the flood insurance and homeowners insurance, and I appreciate all that, but I don't think that's a reason that we shouldn't be taking care of ourselves too, our own revenue. So anyway, that's some food for thought. That's about all I have to say on the budget for tonight anyway. Thank you.
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
I will say just a little bit on that. I know y'all may not have gotten a lot of emails and feedback, but I did receive quite a bit, and it may be because of my dissenting vote on beach nourishment. And I've received no less than 20 comments, phone calls, and emails on that. And I don't know that all of it was just about beach nourishment. And I wish, and I've encouraged a lot of the folks who actually came up to me and talked to me to talk to y'all as well, because it's important that, and I'm a little disturbed that nobody took my advice on that. People are always willing to say, the good stuff when it's good and the bad stuff when it's bad, but in this case, they don't understand how important it is. With my vote, it wasn't just about beach nourishment. It was the fact that it was a triple whammy with everything else that was going up, and I think that's where everybody, when they came to me and were like, thank you for your vote. At least this is what's going on. I think they understood the plight and were in contention with the taxes going up with the reevaluation and the insurance going up, and that's where everybody's concern was. And that's where I see the concern lie with a lot of the citizens that I've talked to. So I think if we were to look at some kind of raise like this, I think it's more important to people than you think, at least a lot of people that I've talked to. So I think that's something that I can speak to. I wish you had heard and talked to a lot of the people that I've talked to. I've had people that I don't even know that have stopped me on the street. So I think it is something that people have thought about, and but I think those people that are thinking about it need to say it, because they don't realize how important it is. If they're not going to verbalize it, they need to not think it.
I'd like to commend Mike on his presentation and the way he presented his alternative. It's nice to deal with somebody who actually puts the facts up on the screen, and I appreciate that very much. I had told Mike that I'm going to oppose this, but my primary concern is that in dealing with compensation for our employees, I think we have to take into account the sensitivities of our citizens and our taxpayers, who right now are having trouble maintaining their level of income. Some of us are doing quite well, but many of us are holding even, maybe barely. Or holding even in terms of pension or salary, but our medical expenses and our living expenses are rising faster than that. I think we need to be sensitive to that. That has to be balanced by, are we competitive? We've had, Ms. Diaz can give us a 3-hour briefing on what happens when the Board of Commissioners rises up, freezes salaries, and we go 5 years and get uncompetitive, and everybody starts deciding, well, you know, I'd really rather work for Nags Head, or I'd really rather work for Dare County. And it was about 10 years ago we went through that, I believe, Debbie, didn't we? It is important that we remain competitive. And I think the budget as prepared this time does keep us in a competitive mode. I think we are being competitive while at the same time being sensitive to what's going on around us and in the community. Most importantly to me, I'm looking ahead. I'm assuming that we're going to go ahead and do beach nourishment. And I have a pretty good feel for what the revenue situation is going to look like in that and what we're going to have. And frankly, I don't think our problem is going to be that we don't have enough revenue. Our problem is going to be how do we throttle back once we complete the project. And that other communities are having that difficulty as well. I think we're going to find that once we get that project going, that the shared revenue system that we use in this county is going to take care of our problem pretty well. So I think this year we should hold the line. Because next year, every householder is going to see 3 or 4 times that. And those in the special tax districts are going to see 10, 15 times that. So I'm for holding the line this year, and so I would like to move ahead with the budget as currently proposed.
Mike, I appreciate the work you put into this. I know you and I met and you reviewed this with me, and just as we've done now with the tax reevaluation, and we also have done with beach nourishment, and now with this scenario, breaking it down into true dollars and cents and what's the household impact, I think certainly helps people see and understand much better what relevance it has to them. But as I shared when you and I discussed it, and I still feel that we're not in the economic times to raise taxes if it's not absolutely necessary to do so. And I commend the staff, the finance staff, and all of our department heads in putting together a budget that kept us at basically just doing what we needed to do to keep revenue neutral and not having to impose any tax increase in the budget that was planned, and yet not having to cut services. Certainly there are some departments that had to make decisions on what to hold back, and we again have delayed some of the equipment purchases, but the staff did prioritize what equipment needed to be purchased to make sure that we could still deliver the level of service that our citizens expect and deserve. So I too am supportive of moving forward with the budget that's presented. And I guess it's really the discretion of the board whether to make a motion to approve that tonight or to hold off until the next meeting. Is that?
We would actually bring you back your budget ordinance for adoption.
So it'll be at the
25th.
next
Yes,
the
ma'am.
next meeting. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not, if you're done.
26th,
Well, I was
I'm
going to
sorry.
say that gives citizens time to both of your points, where you had called for input on what you presented. It gives citizens time to respond to any of us with that, and also to your point, for citizens that have spoken to you, to please share their comments with the rest of us. Email addresses for all of us are on the town website. Or if you send an email to the town, Mary or Debbie can distribute it to us. But it gives 2 more weeks for people to provide any information that they want or share their concerns with us or comments.
Yeah, I've already conveyed to the board members and to the town manager, I'm not gonna vote against the budget. I'm not gonna be a contrarian, although sometimes I am, but not on this issue. I just wanted to make the point, I've been, each year goes by that we leave money sitting on the table as far as the shared revenue is concerned, and once again, this year with $60,000+ I just think if nothing else, we should at least cover ourselves. Because we've been leaving that money on the table for the past 4 or 5 years every year. And there comes a point where I think we have to put a stop to it, but this may not be the year, so.
Well, but let me double check. This current year that we're moving into, because it's a year later with the revenue sharing that,
Yes, ma'am.
because of our 2-cent tax increase, we're not actually leaving money on the table with the shared revenue distribution, correct?
Correct. The numbers that he's showing on his presentation would affect the,
The 14, 15.
14, 15, right,
Yeah.
Right.
right. Okay,
I'm sorry, I didn't make that clear. That's how that works.
right. So this current year that we're moving into, because of last year's 2-cent
That's right.
tax increase, we actually are, I forgot what the value was, maybe $100,000 to the.
I can't
to
remember
the good.
exactly, but it's
Yeah.
to the good, yes,
It
ma'am.
basically kept us even.
Right. Okay, so we will have this as an agenda item at our next meeting, our second meeting in June. And please encourage any input or comments, please send them our way. Okay. With that, next on the agenda is introductions. I'm not sure, are they here yet?
No, ma'am,
Okay.
they actually don't get off the stand until 5:30, so if we could just sort
Yep.
of maybe work around that item.
Absolutely. So we'll move on to public comment, and then when our lifeguards arrive, then we will take a break and do the formal introduction.
Thank you.
Them. Okay. So this is the first time on our agenda this evening that's set aside for public comment. During public comment, you can speak on any topic that you wish to address the board. We ask if you are speaking as an individual that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. And if you're representing a group, that you limit your comments to 5 minutes. When you approach the podium, if you'll identify yourself by name and address. We did have a sign-up sheet for public comment, and we had one person sign up, so he'll get to go first, and then we'll call from the floor if anyone else wishes to speak. So, Jack McCombs, if you'd like to speak first.
Jack McCombs, I'm at 917 Cedar Drive. I think sometimes I should represent a group. I represent every cyclist in the Outer Banks, I think. At least hundreds of them turn to me when they have questions. On May 15th, Kill Devil Hills joined nearly 400 other communities in the United States in a ride of silence. And we also uniquely in the United States had a walk of silence. The town hosted this, and they did a wonderful job. Our mayor participated in the walk, as did Commissioner Rudabottom. And our local police, Chief Brett, Assistant Chief Harris, and the patrolmen did a great job in traffic control, and that's really important. And I just want to, on behalf of all cyclists in the United States, in the United States as well as the Outer Banks, thank you so much. And next year, we're already planning to have an even bigger event, and we'll be coming back to you and ask again for your support for that. I have a question for the chief. I understand there was a Harris Teeter employee struck in Corolla within the last few days, and 2 cyclists struck in Kill Devil Hills. Are those both true, or both those incidents, do you know?
I don't know of any that have been struck in Kill Devil Hills in the past few days. I do understand that there was one in Corolla that was struck.
Cyclist or pedestrian?
It didn't say just what Max's employees, it didn't say cyclists or bicyclists, since that's occurred, that's all the information we were given at the time.
We continue to have a very serious problem in the Outer Banks of cyclists and pedestrians being struck while walking or riding their bikes. There is a coalition that is now actively trying to blunt that and to educate both the cyclists and the walkers and our residents. It's an ongoing problem, and hopefully all of us that live here are sensitive to that need, because one thing we can do is kill the goose that lays the golden egg. 10 years ago, in a study done by NCDOT, bicyclists accounted for more than $60 million on our economy. I know people find that hard to believe, but it's true and it's documented. There's a very good study that lays it all out, how that money comes into the Outer Banks. 10 years later, just anecdotally, if you look out and look at all the cyclists, cars coming into the Outer Banks with bicycles on their car, I'm confident that now it's over $100 million, and we're literally sitting on a gold mine. With some promotion, we could make that a $1 billion a year impact. But we don't want to kill the goose by getting a reputation of being a dangerous place for cyclists to ride their bikes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak at this public comment? Okay. We will move on to response to public comment. Jack, I just personally want to thank you for all that you've done and continue to do in promoting cycling safety and organizing the ride and walk for silence in our community. Appreciate all that you do. Okay, well, we will move on to new business. And if you recall, item number 1 was removed from the agenda, so we will now address the proposal for permitting and engineering support for non-federal beach nourishment project. Is that Debbie or Greg?
I'll ask Greg if he would address this. He's been speaking directly with Mr. Wilson from the engineering firm.
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Ms. Diaz. What you have before you now is really the first real step toward putting sand on the beach. And it's a contract that will really go after the permits to construct the beach nourishment project. And as you probably are aware, there's a Corps of Engineers permit and a CAMA major permit that are required, and quite a bit of background information that's going to be required before we can actually apply for the permit. And this takes us through to that stage. It also looks at a borrow area that was identified years ago by DOT that's maybe an extension of the S1 sand source where Nags Head pulled from, and it's in federal waters, and it includes some funds to go explore that and see if it's of the sand quality and capacity, the volumes that we need to do our work. And also Duck is looking at that. I know people probably are aware that Duck is in process of signing a contract with the same firm, and there's some opportunity to cost share that, and through negotiations with the managers, I think that can be accomplished, but it'll probably happen after the 1st of July. Now, there are future steps to this. This is not the end of it. Of course, once we have everything set where we apply for our permits, and there's going to be a round of work with the agencies, both CAMA and the Corps of Engineers, to try to determine maybe some additional information they might need. There's monitoring, and then there's it goes on to where we actually determine which borrow area to use, whether we're going to use the one that's off Nags Head, or if it's more cost effective to use this new borrow area that we're going to be looking at. And of course, then there's the contract. You have to actually do the engineering drawings, do the contract, and then the contract administration and construction management. So there's more soft cost to it than this. This is really our first step, and if the board chooses to proceed beach nourishment, I suggest we move ahead with all post haste. If you have any questions, I'll try to do my best to answer.
And the contract has been reviewed by the town attorney.
Okay. with looking at this additional or possibly alternate borrow site, and the work that would be done with that, does that affect the timeline that we had discussed initially?
No,
No,
it doesn't.
that's still part of it, okay.
Sorry, it doesn't slow down the process of getting tourable one, by having to do that survey, is that what you're saying?
No, sir, it does not.
Okay, what about the actual project itself? Would that actually speed it up a little bit because it's closer? I mean, hypothetically, a little bit.
It depends on depends on what the dredging contractor brings, you know, and that'll all be based on the cost, and if they can bring less equipment or different equipment to do it at, you know, less diesel fuel to go from point A to point B, it certainly could be a time and cost savings, and that's why they're looking at it.
Okay, good, thank you.
I know under the recommendations from staff to the board with this topic, the second recommendation is to authorize the town manager to explore potential cost sharing with the town of Dutt through the reconnaissance survey and all. And, a couple of comments that I've seen related to Kittleville Hills' position on moving forward with beach nourishment was actually questioning, because I guess people had heard that other towns were starting to look more seriously at beach nourishment, and several people had made remarks about, have we looked into cost sharing? And so I think it's important to let them know that yes, that we are very much looking at that. And I think this goes an official step into doing that. And I think that's smart, and hopefully that we will see some cost sharing, not only by timing the project, but by doing some of these steps together.
Bill, do you know whether, I know Kitty Hawk's not quite ready, they're not addressed in here, but do you know there might be a time when they could be ready in time to be involved in this at all? Or since you know more about this than I do, so.
Well, I'd be just speculating. Duck is moving ahead at a point where we might actually be able to productively cost share with them. I think that, as I understand it, Kitty Hawk's primary concerns right now are in flooding between the highways, as opposed to trying to find a way to, I think they would like to nourish the beach, but I think their first order of priority is, what do we do about the flooding between the highways that we've got right now? And that's the way I understand it, and I could be dead wrong. I haven't personally spoken to any of those commissioners or the mayor to ask them if that's their viewpoint, but I believe that's what's going on. Brandy, maybe you.
I've spoken with the mayor pro tem and
Mhm.
in shoreline commission meetings, and again, they've not actually said that out loud, but
Right.
again, I'm doing the same
Yeah,
thing you are, is
right,
assuming that
right.
the problem at hand is what
Yeah.
they would be looking at. but-
Let's put it this way. They are concerned about beach nourishment, but I know that they're very concerned about the flooding between the highways and the residual flooding that remains after storms. I'm not sure. I think that while there's revenue sharing potential there, it might slow down our effort if we
Right.
were to try to do it at this point in time. That doesn't mean it can't be done later. Where we cost share on, say, maintenance and their nourishment, just as we will have opportunities probably at some point in time to cost share with Nags Head when they're in their maintenance cycles. So,
Thank you.
Anyone have any additional questions or comments for Greg or discussion? Yes, Bill?
the Exhibit A of the proposal sets a lower boundary on the design standard of $15 million, I believe it is. And I'd like to suggest that that boundary be removed. There may be a satisfactory engineering solution that costs less than $15 million. And if there is, I think we ought to look at it and we ought to consider it. It's not likely we would adopt it because the ratio of variable to fixed cost would be probably too low for our taste. It's when you start getting to the point where we say, well, yeah, we got a $10 million solution, we're going to pay $4 million on fixed cost, and we're only going to put $6 million worth of sand, and everybody's going to stand up and say, well, you dummies. But I think we ought to be able to consider it. I mean, who knows, we might not have 15 million when the time actually comes to award this contract. We might want to look at some alternatives. So I don't think we should limit ourselves from considering it. But on the other hand, I'm not suggesting we should adopt that either, unless it's to our advantage, to the board's, to the town's advantage to do that. So to stop talking, I suggest we remove the lower boundary.
So under this, which is on page A1.
A1, I believe, is where the lower boundary is. It's
Yes.
15 million.
The first bullet there.
Yeah,
at
and
the
I would
bottom.
just say, with an anticipated budget not to exceed 20 million. That's the way I would word that.
Okay. Does anyone have any, is that a, Steve's okay? Okay. Okay, any other comments or suggestions?
I will note that in looking at this, again, in talking about the cost-sharing ability with this and what we're looking at with what staff is recommending, this $61,000 cost share is just the beginning part of it. That's not, that's a very small amount. Once we actually get into it, I mean, there's a much bigger advantage for cost share than this. So that's, I mean, you're looking at cost sharing, $4 million for the piece of equipment. So I think that's important to note. That's because that number looks kind of small when you're looking at it. So
Yeah, that's just sharing the cost of the actual survey.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, but at least, for those who were curious if we were going to be working with Duck on cost sharing options, it certainly shows that yes, from the onset we are. Okay, is anyone prepared to make a motion?
I move that the Exhibit A be amended to remove the lower boundary and read a budget not to exceed 20 million. Is that right? I got the right? Yes,
Yes.
20 million.
Okay. And do we need to spell out that we also need to accept the proposal?
And the budget amendment, and it's the
Yeah,
first
and
full
Okay.
if we agree to amend it, then we should propose to.
Okay, so do that as a
approve
first
the-
amendment, then we'll go back.
right,
Okay.
right.
So the amendment is to make the change to page A1. So that's the motion that's on the floor now. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Bill, would you like to make a follow-up motion?
I move that the town manager be authorized to enter into contract and that the budget amendment as enclosed be approved.
Okay.
I'll second that also.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
And just for the record, by consensus, you're authorizing me to explore the cost sharing.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to add this one thing. I've said this, I went home from the meeting when we discussed this, and we talked about the 15 to 20 million, and my wife always says, how was the meeting? And I said, oh, we talked about this, and we talked about that, and I mentioned the beach nourishment, and then it kind of hit me. It's like, she kind of looked at me, and she said, what are you thinking? I said, well, it's 20 million is a lot of money. And there's, I know this is an important job. There's 4 people right now that make decisions for what happens to 7,000 people and how much money they spend and kind of roads they drive on and all of this. And when you talk about being one of a very small group of people that gets to make a decision like this or is condemned to make a decision like this, it's very important. And I just want you to know that myself, and I think I can speak for the others, we don't take this lightly at all. This is something we've all talked about for years. Anybody that's been associated with the town or lived here for very long. And it's important stuff, and I think everybody needs to come forward and give us their opinions. 'Cause it'll help us make the right decision for everybody.
Thank you. Okay, I see T. Mike's here, so
I think they're good to go.
we're ready. We'll move back up and do the introductions. This is always a highlight in our May or June meeting where we have introductions to our Ocean Rescue Lifeguards. And so they'll be in just a moment. We can. All right, hang in there. Try not to cough. Yeah. All right. If I get on a fit, they stop me.
Last year, when they were all dressed in yellow, Mike thought they were chickens.
That's scratch. Chief Tilly?
Thank you, Mayor, Board of Commissioners, fellow Kildova Hill residents, for allowing me to introduce to you your 2013 beach lifeguard team. This is my first beach season, and I'm looking forward to it being safe for everybody coming out to the beach. I've had the privilege of watching some of the training of some of our lifeguards, and it's been quite an experience watching these young men and women go through the training. It's very extensive and challenging. I think they've been in water that was in the low 50s, and I can only imagine how tough that is. I've had the opportunity to watch them in action when I was here, and I'm amazed at how fast they can spring into action. I respect everything they do day in and day out, so thank y'all for what y'all do. This is the 14th season for our lifeguard operation, overseen by Ocean Rescue Supervisor T. Mike Morrison, as well as Assistant Ocean Rescue Supervisor David Elder. So I'm going to turn it over to them and let them continue on with introductions.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for having us. And what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and start with the introductions of the 2013 lifeguards. In the white, you'll see those are the supervisory staff. And then in the yellow are the lifeguard staff. Go ahead, Austin.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Austin Harden. I'm Outer Banks local, working for Ocean Rescue for 8 seasons now, 6 as a supervisor. And I recently graduated from East Carolina University with a degree in kinesiology.
Anna Zapula, I'm also local all my life here. This is also my 8th summer with Ocean Rescue and 6th year supervising. I graduated from UNCW with a degree in geology, and I just recently got my EMT.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Benjamin Battle. This is my 24th season on the Outer Banks. It'll be my 8th season for Kildova Hills Ocean Rescue, 3rd as a supervisor. For the past 4 winters, I've been going up to Vermont to the ski patrol at a mountain called Okemo, and I look forward to the season of 2013.
Hi, my name is Kelly. This is my 5th year with Ocean Rescue, my 3rd as a supervisor. I also grew up here, spent my whole life here. I went to school at UNC Wilmington and graduated with my degree in biology.
Hi everyone, I don't know if anyone can see me, but I'm Brandy. I'm from Delaware. This is my 6th summer with Ocean Rescue, 3rd year supervisor. I went to Lock Haven University for criminal justice, and I just completed my EMT as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Brianne Voivich. This is my 4th year with Kildova Hills Ocean Rescue, 2nd year as a supervisor. I'm born and raised here on the Outer Banks. I'm looking forward to a great season.
Good evening, my name is Jacqueline Thomas. I also am local. I currently attend Mount Olive. I'm undeclared, but I'm playing soccer and track, just figuring things out.
I'm Trey Evinger. I've lived here for 8 years. This is my 4th year as a lifeguard, my 1st year as a supervisor, and I just finished my EMT with those 2 right there. And I'm trying to become a firefighter.
My name is Hunter Barkington. This will be my 5th year working KDHOR. 1st year as supervisor, and been at Wingate University looking to transfer to NC State for engineering.
Hello everybody, my name is Tanner Beal. I'm from Western Maryland. This is my 3rd year with Kill Devil Hills Ocean Rescue, and I currently attend St. Vincent College outside Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with a double bachelor's in political science and criminology.
My name is Matt DeFago. This is my 2nd summer as a lifeguard, and I attended Elon University. I graduated. It was quite a long time ago, though.
My name is Nathan. Lived in Colorado Hills my whole life. This is my 3rd year. I'm looking forward to keeping beaches safe.
My name is Sean Kenny. I was born and raised on the Outer Banks. This is my 3rd year with Kill Devil Hills Ocean Rescue. I go to school down in Wilmington at UNCW. Recently accepted UNCW, and I live in Brightsville Beach Fire Department as a live-in intern firefighter.
I'm Billy Taronis. I've lived on the Outer Banks since I was about 6 years old. I'm at this moment attending COA, and I plan on transferring to Western Carolina to major in environmental science.
Hi, I'm Hannah DeLucia. I've grown up here. This will be my 3rd season working with KDHOR, and this fall I'm starting at UNCI.
Hello everyone, my name is Rachel Brera. I am from Hagerstown, Maryland. This is my 3rd summer with Kill Devil Hills Ocean Rescue, and I will be an upcoming senior this year at the University of Kentucky studying kinesiology and exercise science.
Hi guys, I'm Jessica Robinson. I'm from Williamsburg, Virginia. This is my 3rd year with Ocean Rescue, and right now I'll be a senior at Old Dominion University studying communications and public relations.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacob. I'm from Newport News, Virginia. It's my 2nd summer with KDHOR. I'm studying political science at Christopher Newport University.
I'm Matt Robinson. This is my 8th year living on the Outer Banks and 2nd year with Kill Devil Hills Ocean Rescue, and I will be studying biology at ECU this coming fall.
Hi, my name is Genevieve Ramirez. This is my 2nd season, and I'll be a rising senior at First Light High School.
Hey, my name is Jake Liverman. This is my 2nd year for Kill Devil Hills Ocean Rescue. I lived in Kill Devil Hills my entire life, and I'm planning to attend East Carolina for mechanical engineering.
Hey guys, my name is Devin Clark, Kill Devil Hills native. This is my 2nd season with Ocean Rescue. I've also been a volunteer firefighter for Kill Devil Hills for 10 years, and then I'm currently pursuing a career in firefighting.
Hi, I'm Haley Appleman. I have worked here for a year and a half, and I'm a rising senior at First Light.
My name is David Reese. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I recently graduated with a degree in criminal justice from the University of South Carolina and commissioned 2nd Lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps.
Hello, I'm Jordan Rodrigues. I have lived in Kill Devil Hills most of my life. This is my 1st year on staff, and I will be attending Appalachian State next year for kinesiology.
Hi, my name is Tyler Coniston. This is my 1st year with Ocean Rescue at KDH, and I moved here last year from Virginia, and I'm going to be a rising senior this year at First Light.
My name is Dustin Fitchers. I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia. My 1st year working here, going to TCC this semester and looking to transfer to OBCU.
Hi, my name is Meredith Murr. I'm from St. Augustine, Florida, but military wife, so I've lived here a couple different times. I've done 6 years of Ocean Rescue. This is my 1st year with KDH, so I'm happy to be on this beach.
Hey y'all, I'm Ashley Yarborough. I just moved here from High Point, North Carolina, and this is my 1st year being a lifeguard, and hopefully I'll have more.
Hi there, I'm Blake Campbell. I'm 1st year lifeguard as well, from Richmond, Virginia, and I'm currently studying business at James Madison University.
Hey everybody, I'm AJ Christ. I'm also from Richmond, Virginia. This is my 1st year, and I'm studying physical education at Marcel College.
My name is Floyd York. Recently relocated from Alexandria, Virginia. This is my 1st year with Ocean Rescue. Graduated from Virginia Commonwealth University, EMT intermediate, looking to get into EMS or fire with Dare County.
I'm Jay Donahue. I'm from Hagerstown, Maryland. This is my 1st year up here, or down here I should say. I'll be a senior at St. Vincent College outside Pittsburgh. I'm pursuing a degree in biology with a minor in Spanish.
Dave?
David Elder. Been doing Ocean Rescue for too long to talk about.
I'm glad to be working with these guys. Little statistic, about 75, not quite 80% of these guys are from right here in Dare County, local fruit, and we're glad to be having them work right here. They do a great job for us. Thank you.
I don't know if you have any further questions for any of them.
Any questions? I don't have a question, but I just want to say thank you so much. You guys play such just an invaluable role to protecting, our families, for those of us that live here and the guests that come here. You have such an important job, so I thank you for the service you do. And I remember last year sitting here listening to how many people, how many of you are repeat and have been here 8 years or around that, and some of you that are, already coming back for your second year. And I think that just says a lot for the work environment that you're working in. Obviously, you must like what you're doing, and I think when people enjoy what they're doing, that helps them do the best job that they can do. So thank you so much for everything. So thank you for the leaders of our Ocean Rescue, and I hope we have a safe and happy summer. Yes.
Thank you.
Good meeting.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Next on our agenda, we're going to be moving into presentations. And we have Aaron McCall with the Nags Head Woods Ecological Preserve here to do the 2013 annual report. Welcome, Aaron.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and Town. I appreciate you letting me speak tonight on behalf of Nags Head Woods and the Nature Conservancy. I'm just going to give you a brief update. I know this is try to keep it short and simple. I'm just going to go over some of the highlights. You should also have a written package that kind of goes into some of the stuff in a little more detail. If you have any questions at any point during one of the presentation slides, just let me know, and I'll be happy to try to answer those questions. Where do I point this thing at?
Point at me, Aaron. Sorry for shooting me. All right, raise your finger up. I'll move the slide. There we go. I got the first one.
All right, so we're just going to go over a couple things: the volunteers, visitors, some of the restoration projects, general stewardship, and acquisition. So just to give you some basic numbers, that's from our visitation book. We're just over around 700 from the past year. It's just voluntary registration, so we probably get quite a bit more. And this just gives you some general comments when people write. Nice to have such a place close to our for our grandkids to go to. Love it here. That's why we keep coming back. So forth. We've had over 200 volunteers from various universities, local, UNC, totaled over 1,000 hours. All this is dealt with stewardship around Nags Head Woods Preserve, either in the preserve or on the outside boundaries. You can see we've helped Jockey's Ridge State Park maintain finches along Run Hill. We've done invasive plants. We've painted the yellow house. Just a wide variety. We've had them doing all kinds of things to help make sure we keep the place safe, clean. We've also done different outreach and partnerships. We've partnered with the North Carolina Aquarium to allow for eco camps to use the woods and the facilities back in there. We've also done field trips through Wings Over Water and college groups. And we also participated in a couple of other different hikes during the summertime. We do Interpretive Friday. That'll begin again this Friday, actually, where from 10 till 1. Open to the public. We have tables set up. We kind of give people a little introduction to the animals and plants that are associated with Nags Head Woods. A couple of the other different projects we're working at, as you guys are fully aware of the multi-use path back there on the town's property and the Conservancy's property. We're now in a restoration type phase, so we've been planting. We got a $10,000 award through U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and we've been using local volunteers and Dominion Power to install both weed and install plants. We've got a butterfly garden up front, and we've been doing complete restoration in the back. So this is kind of a learn as we go. Some things take well, as you know, when you plant, and some things don't. Both deer browsing and other things affect it. But we're continuing to add to this restoration and seeing what really works well back there and what we need to alter. So this is just some of the other details with the project. You can see some of the areas that have been planted. And we had a good showing from Dominion Power where we had close to 30 volunteers come in for a day and work 7 hours, put in some hard work back there. So Dominion Power has been key to this whole development of that project back there. Another one of the projects we've been working on, and once again, this is all these projects won't get done without the volunteers that have come in. And so we've had, once again, over 1,000 hours involved in a shoreline restoration adaptation project where we've, this is actually on the south end of Nags Head where we've lost marsh over time and it's changed quite a bit. So we started to learn what would take there, both doing some native plantings and also building a shoreline oyster reef to reduce wave energy, bagging oyster shells. This is in early stages of this project, but as you can see, we've had over 1,000 hours put into this. We built about 1,000 linear feet of oyster reef, and we planted over 1,000 plants. We did lose a lot of those plants during the past couple of storms, but that is to be expected. You kind of keep planting, whatever takes, and just keep going from there. Next slide. This is just once again some pictures. This is what the shell bags look like in the top stages. That's the planted foot marsh right there at its healthiest time, and then that's heavy wave energy there on that oak tree. Next slide. We've also been productive working with both KDH and Nags Head Fire Department and the North Carolina Forest Service and doing marsh burns back in this area. So this past year, we also were able to not only were we able to put in fire breaks, but we were also able to burn an extra 60 acres. Excuse me. We did 250 acres last year during the March burn season, which generally starts between around January into March 15th, and we were able to incorporate 60 acres this year that was on private land. Both Killable Hills and Nags Head residents that have marsh property back in there were able to work with them and the Conservancy's land in between that and able to burn off that. So we've now completed just over 300 marsh acres. That pretty much puts us from Run Hill all the way over towards the South Point area. So we were able to burn all that marsh off. This was all done to reduce the fuel back in there, to make it a situation that hopefully doesn't stop wildfires from happening. This hopefully just reduces the fuel load. It also gave us a better understanding of how these marshes would burn based on a certain type of wind environments. It also gave us a chance to access this with equipment, working with the Forest Service to put in fire breaks to understand where we can get in there, how we could draw fire breaks, where there's creeks that come in, where there's water, things of that nature. So now if we were to have to go into a situation where we had to do suppression with a wildfire, we would have a better understanding of how to access what type of equipment really works back there, so we wouldn't be going into a situation so blind. So I think this was a lot of good lessons learned. We were able to, once again, put fire on the ground and reduce some of that fuel load as well. It's just pictures. Pictures, tell you a lot. So I always like to add a lot of pictures, and both you get from the ground and from the air. We're on our third year of doing a HERP survey, which is looking at the reptiles and amphibians back in Nags Head Woods, working with Framingham State University. I've been working with a professor now, like I said, going on our third year. It's got the same students back here. They work every day in the woods. They've got traps out there. This doesn't harm any of the reptiles and amphibians. This is strictly, we go in there, we mark them. It's called basically catch and release is really what we're doing. We're capturing them in these traps. And then for turtles, for example, we mark them, and then we release them back in the ponds we found them. Same thing with other types of snakes and things like that. It's just a mark. We measure. If we can get other type of data off them, we try to get that. And this gives us an understanding of the baseline of what things are currently there. This is something that's been redone. Last time this was done was back in 1984, so this allows us to see if anything has reintroduced in the woods or maybe wasn't captured during that surveys, or also if we're losing certain species. So this gives us a way to manage Nags Head Woods in a different way, having this type of baseline data. We were also fortunate to work with the Deals to purchase 20 acres. This is on the town of Nags Head side, but there's not a lot of land that's available at this size around a maritime forest anymore, so we were able to work with them, the landowners, to put this into acquisition. So now we have approximately 1,200 acres that's in acquisition back there, part of Nags Head Woods Preserve. So that's my presentation. If you have any other questions, there's also other information that was put together in the Word document, talked about the deer hunting and things like that. We did harvest 11 deer through the bow hunting season. We'll continue to do some of that stuff, but I wanted to highlight on some of the new stuff that we've been working on just give you a little more information. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thanks. Any questions or comments for Aaron?
Aaron, are you required to get CAMA permits for that south end point? Where you're,
Yes, sir.
and do you have to do the detailed drawings?
Yes, sir.
Would your management permit you to share those with the public for people who are interested in trying to figure out how to thread?
Yeah, we could
the
share that
CAMA
type of stuff. It's we actually learned a lot. I've done I've done 3 major camera permits, and they are complicated.
They are, yeah.
You can do drawings of different things. We're fortunate that we were actually in the later part of our drawings during that stage. Kate Murray, who's our conservation planner, actually has experience in CAD. And when you have someone that has those type of skills, it makes it a big difference. I did rudimentary drawings on graph paper, and I've done it in Word, but it has to be to scale. But we do have that type of information, lessons learned through it. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we've done, those projects, we're getting grant funding through NOAA because we're able to get the NOAA funding if it's in conservation and restoration type things. So it helps to help. It's a 1-to-1 match. So Conservancy puts in and we get the NOAA match, and that helped us to do some of that stuff. But the CAMA takes every bit of 90 days, if not more, lessons learned to go through it. So that type of permitting process, and I think overall there is some general look at using living shorelines and oyster reefs and things like that to make a simpler permitting for landowners to do that. It's still in early phases because it's kind of semi-new.
That's what I'm interested in, is making it possible for citizens to consider living shoreline.
Well, I think there is a new living shoreline permit that's not quite a 90-day thing, and I'd be happy that if this goes out and people are interested in learning more about that, I'd be happy to try to help on that or just share some of the stuff that we've done as far as our drawings and things like that. The CAMA people, if you get them on site, they're very helpful and they can help you make corrections. It's just time-consuming. You have to be willing to sit down and go through the paperwork. Coastal Federation also has very good information on living shorelines as well.
Well, thank you. I'll be in touch because
Okay.
I am interested, and there may be other citizens that are too. So thank you.
Be happy to talk to them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thanks, Aaron.
You guys have a good evening.
You too.
Our second presentation this evening is Katie Burgess, the Executive Director of the YMCA, is here, as well as BJ McAvoy, the Chairman of the YMCA Board. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor, Commissioners, Town of Kill Devil Hills. My name is Bernard McAvoy. I'm a local resident, business owner, and attorney here in Kill Devil Hills. And one of the things I'm most proud of is serving on the Board of Commissioners here at the local YMCA of the Outer Banks. They just do a great job serving this community, and it all is due to a wonderful director that we have, Katie Burgess, who would like to present to you. So I appreciate the opportunity to have this time, and would like to introduce her to put on a presentation.
Thanks, BJ. Good evening. I'd like to begin by saying I am honored and so proud to be able to stand in front of you for the 3rd year in a row and tell you that you have a growing and thriving YMCA. This is your YMCA. Your community is a huge part of our YMCA in the Outer Banks. And tonight is going to be a little bit of a different presentation than I've given for the past 2 years. The past 2 years I've shown you numbers and statistics, and don't worry, I'll show you all that and bore you a little bit with that. But tonight I'm going to be able to show you some actual action at the YMCA and what your YMCA does for your community. So I'd like to start just by reminding you of what our mission is. It's to put Judeo-Christian principles into practice through programs that build healthy spirit, mind, and body for all. I think one of the most important parts of our mission are the last 2 words, for all. That means everyone is welcome at the YMCA. No discrimination based on race, gender, creed, and for the We Build People program, most importantly, financial need. Everyone can come to the YMCA. So I'd like to show you a few pictures, and as Aaron mentioned during his presentation, pictures tell a whole different story than numbers do. So let's start out with what happened last summer. This is a brand new program to the YMCA. We called it our Junior Anglers Adventure Camp, and we had 20 children that were involved in this program in addition to our regular summer camp. These children, some of them, may not have ever seen a fishing pole in their lives, but they were able for an entire week to be part of a volunteer-led program where all equipment was donated, and all expenses were paid for them to be able to participate and learn good sportsmanship, to actually fish. And I'm proud to say every one of those 20 children were able to catch at least 3 fish. They may have been this small and little croakers, but that's okay. They caught fish. And they just had the time of their lives. I was so proud to be able to walk out on Jeanette's Pier. And we also had several other partnerships with the Hilton and with TWs and several other partnerships that were able to make this possible. You could just see the smiles on their faces. It was so exciting. Click. Okay, I'll do the finger thing. And another time, please. Thank you. These were experiences that these children may not have been able to have otherwise. And they'll remember them for a lifetime. They made great relationships, and they learned some great character values. Next, our fishing camp was not the only thing we offered. We have several specialty camps to open to all of our children. This is one of the skate camps. We had between 15 and 20 kids a week participate in skate camp. We also had scuba snorkel camp. We also had Camp Fins, where they learned skill technique in the water. We had sports camps. We had so many different things to offer. Every child had some type of interest that we could accommodate. We also do tons of youth sports, as you know. But it's not just sports. It's about building character and lifelong skills. So we're very proud to be able to look at our soccer program and our basketball program, our t-ball program, our golf program. We have so many different things that we're offering at this point, and quite a few of them are new to 2012, 2013. We also have other opportunities for other ages. This is a picture of one of our active older adult programs. This is a chair class that they're able to participate in. It encourages mobility, flexibility, continued strength. But it accommodates everyone. And opportunities for families. One of the most important things at the YMCA is that we bring families together. And so offering cookies with Santa or Thanksgiving dinners. We have Easter egg hunts. There's so many different opportunities that can involve the entire family, along with our outdoor pools, our racquetball courts, any other activity that the parents might enjoy bringing their kids to. Swim lessons. As you know, the YMCA is the #1 provider of swim lessons throughout the country. And this year, we will be meeting our goal of over 1,200 swim lessons taught at the Outer Banks YMCA. 1,200 swim lessons. That's a huge number. But it could always be bigger. We want every child to have the opportunity to have swim lessons. And through another partnership, we're able to provide all of our 2nd and 3rd grade campers this year with swim lessons at no additional cost. All right, this is Nathan Canny, and I'm going to have a quick video here, just a few minutes, to show you what his Y experience meant to him. It truly did save his life. So if we could play that.
I'm trying. You do? All right, let's try that. Oop. Oh, it's going to take me out.
That's what you need.
Oh, there it was.
There you go.
Got my fingers crossed.
Well, we had been out at the beach for hours that day. The ocean was rough. I don't know if the riptides were bad that day, but the shore break was big. And I heard a young child's voice call out for help. And I started scanning the water, and I saw a child, and within a second or two I realized that it was my child.
I thought my dad told me to go rinse off in the water, and when I rinsed off, the tide sucked me out, and then I started trying all my swims, and then I saw that I couldn't do it. Then I started shredding and calling him for help.
There was a woman who was closer to him than I was, and she ran out to the water, grabbed him by the arm, and pulled him in. And he was fully conscious, fully aware. He wasn't panicked, very calm.
I tread water by pretend I'm standing straight and do this.
I was so thankful that just 2 weeks prior, he had finished his swimming lessons and he had earned his green necklace.
Swim lessons were important because we live at the ocean, and during the summer we try to go out to the ocean on a daily basis, and we wanted to have them to have good fundamental skills in swimming so that we can be comfortable with them in the ocean.
Whether you're at the pool or whether you're at the beach, they need to have some control over their body and what they're doing. I think that Nathan knew what to do because he had taken swimming lessons. I think what I liked most about his wife's swim instructor was that she just made it so much fun. I feel like he progressed that much quicker because she made it so much fun. If it was private lessons or in a class, but when it was over, then she could get the children to put the skills together. They probably didn't even know that they were learning, and they could swim. It was amazing to see the progress from 1 week to the next, but mostly at the end of the session to see how much he had grown. I wanted her to know that what she does is important, and if no one had ever said thank you before, I was saying thank you. And the way I look at it is if she has taught 1,000 children how to swim and one child's life gets saved, then that makes her job validated right there.
Well, if that doesn't tell the story better than I ever could, I don't know what will. Because Nathan is here today because of what he learned in his YMCA swim lessons. And we are so proud to be able to say that. And how many other children have had some similar experiences? And we want all of our children in Dare County to be water safe. So let's go into the numbers now that we know the background story. Your YMCA has just over 1,800 membership households. That totals almost 4,500 members, serving 18,000 people throughout the community in our programs and our membership, and over 185,000 family center visits annually. All of those numbers, you will notice, are significantly higher than they were last year. With that, though, comes another interesting statistic. That 34% of our members and program participants were awarded some type of financial assistance. That financial assistance number was over $360,000 in 2012. And this year, we anticipate it to be close to $400,000. With the increase in members, we see an increase in financial assistance. That's over 1,500 families and individuals in the Outer Banks community. To break it down even more, specifically to Kill Devil Hills, 853 households, and that's just almost 2,500 residents in Kill Devil Hills are YMCA members. 383 of the Kill Devil Hills households receive financial assistance, and that's over 900 people. That's 423 families, 288 individuals total. This is an interesting statistic because today I'm proud to report as of 6 p.m. we've successfully completed our first day of summer camp at the YMCA. Over 100 children safely made it home, I'm assuming. And 60 of those 100 children are from Kill Devil Hills. For the summer so far, and this is just anticipated, that's over $26,000 in financial assistance just for Kill Devil Hills residents. Just for summer campers. Our total financial assistance for the summer will be closer to $40,000 for the entire Outer Banks community. The reason why we can provide financial assistance to our members and to our program participants is because of a program called We Build People. And that is why I'm here today, is to thank the town of Kill Devil Hills for their support and continued support in this fundraising effort to be able to provide all of our community the opportunity to have swim lessons, to participate in camp, to be able to provide children a safe place to go while parents are working, to provide families an opportunity to be together and enjoy themselves. Through the Open Doors program, as I mentioned in the beginning, we will never turn anyone away because of their inability to pay. And it's because of donations like from the town of Kill Devil Hills, we are able to provide this service. We are here to serve all, and that's very, very important to us. And it's also very important to us that everyone know 100% of everything raised in the Outer Banks community stays in the Outer Banks community. Though we are part of an association, those monies do not go toward other branches or toward other YMCAs. It all goes toward the members and the program participants at your Outer Banks Family YMCA. Just a couple of quick statistics of, there we go. Oh, too far. That last slide was going to say, for $300, it allows a teen to participate in youth and government. $175 provides 5 children with YMCA swim lessons. Thank you. $125 provides a child 1 week of Outer Banks day camp. $45 provides 8 weeks of a Y Sports program. So we appreciate so much what the town of Kill Devil Hills does for the YMCA, and I hope that I've been able to show you what the YMCA has been able to do for our community. Do you have any questions or comments?
Thank you, Katie.
Great. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
Great,
Is the
great work.
Outer Banks Family YMCA still the leader in We Build for the whole conference?
Yes, almost.
Yeah. Good, good.
That's great. That's great. Very powerful video. Okay, next we'll move to Commissioner's agenda. Commissioner Pitt, we'll start with you.
What's the status of the Storm to Beach situation here right now?
I'm sorry.
What's the status on the Storm to Beach?
Oh.
All of that sort of thing.
The Storm to the Beach, the status?
Yeah.
The permit application was approved with certain conditions, and I think that was emailed on Friday. Meredith?
So are they going to be able to do what they're trying to do?
I haven't heard otherwise from they have representatives here this evening. You did receive, Jim Lundy, you received Meredith's email?
Yes.
So are you going to be able to get done what you want to get done? And is it coming together?
We're doing our best to pull it together. Some of the conditions are making it a little bit difficult. We have to pull it all together and set it up and stage it and all that on Sunday morning before the first start, which is at 7:30. And our goal, of course, is to have an outstanding event that the participants will really enjoy and tell their friends about and encourage people to come back and do it year after year. We have over 500 registered, and many of them are coming from out of the community, as well as many of our own community athletes are interested in participating in this. It would just really be helpful if we had either more time to set up, or we had the opportunity to maybe have some town help in bringing some of the materials to the locations where they need to be, as well as it would be helpful in helping us get the materials off in a timely manner.
The issue of the staging on Saturday was actually something that members of the staff met with representatives from Storm the Beach a couple of weeks ago. Is that right, Linda?
Yes.
When you all met, and it was my understanding that at that meeting there was discussion about the staging on Saturday, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone that was there, I wasn't there. It was agreed then that there would not be staging on Saturday.
We were asked not to stage on Saturday and Friday and Saturday. Our initial permit had asked that we be allowed to stage on Friday and Saturday. And we could understand the town's concern of having things on the beach that way. In responding to some of the town's concerns, what we suggested was that we be allowed to stage after the lifeguards get off their stands on Saturday afternoon. And we were told that some of the lifeguards had volunteered to help us take some of the materials out to the beach, and we would put those materials around the lifeguard stands, which are already there and already, of course, considered obstacles, and then post them with caution tape and those kinds of things, so that hopefully they would not present more of an obstacle, and that would help us in setting up the next day.
And we understood that. It's just that from a safety standpoint, we had issues with that, and we have discussed it with the attorney that there could potentially be liability situations if that. We're talking a lot of equipment, a lot of things, crab pots and so forth, and that was our concern. Not trying to hinder their setup, just that there could potentially be some liability issues, safety concerns, and we actually haven't had any conversation, to my knowledge, about the town. Other than the lifeguards that had volunteered, I hadn't. I'm not familiar with the town being asked to help put stuff out there.
Only with the EMS. We approved the town equipment to help the EMS move.
Right, but that's. I think that's part of what we would do, help provide safety. Our lifeguards would have the EMTs with them in their vehicles if necessary.
Is there any way we could satisfy our liability concerns and still let them put stage equipment if they were to rope it off basically with caution tape, like a police scene does, and you had somebody there and overnight was actually manning the staging site to keep strangers and curious folks out of or would we still have that liability concern?
Have to defer to the attorney.
What do you think, Steve? I don't know.
Well, you certainly reduce your liability concerns if you have somebody out there, have it blocked off and have somebody out there to make sure that people know it's there, that they can see it, and they're aware that they can't go in those areas.
Yeah, the problem we got is kids, and they want to go in there, and if there isn't somebody there, they will.
And it's also something that you'd have to call your liability carrier and ask. You'd have to call your liability carrier and ask them, if we do this, are you going to cover this?
Okay, is their liability carrier or ours?
This would be yours if you're going to authorize.
You meaning Kill Devil Hills?
Right.
Okay.
And would it only be one lifeguard stand? I mean, can you get all the equipment around one stand?
I think what your goal is to have it near where the obstacle is going to be. Yes. Is that correct?
So it would be around every stand.
I don't know that having it all at one place would be beneficial, because I know there was some talk about putting it on a flatbed somewhere, and but even that's not going to help them have it in in the locations. We certainly understand the issue. We just, it just wasn't something that, as the town manager, I was comfortable in authorizing.
Yeah, okay. Is there any way that, how are they getting the stuff from the staging area out to the beach? How do they carry it, or they put it on four-wheel drive pickups, or how do you do that?
Could you,
Actually, guys, when we
would
left
you come
the-
to the podium, please? Thank you, Jim.
Go ahead. When we left the meeting back when, Meredith, when was that meeting?
When was the meeting?
Right.
We all met?
Right.
It was June the 3rd.
Yeah, June 3rd. We went through various concerns that the town had, and greatly respected their knowledge of the reality of the people that go to the beach, when they go to the beach, what they do at nighttime, and we understand that. And OBSC's been logistically reviewing this and saying, okay, how can we do this? Staging for us, the dream would be stage it in advance. Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes we got to step back, have a plan B, and go from there. I came back a couple days later and told, my opinion was that we technically could set it up morning of. It wasn't going to be easy. Did not want to try to get volunteers out there at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. But we've been working with KDH Ocean Rescue for many, many months on the best way to put this thing together, because they were an intricate part in assisting us last year. Last year we submitted a permit, everything went through, it was easy. The guards volunteered, and one of the biggest things that they did was they assisted us in bringing the obstacles on and off the beach with their equipment. Based on what we did last year and what I knew about that, even we didn't set up the night before, but we had more time in the morning because it was an afternoon event. I said, I think we can pull this off as long as we have the same support that we had last year. And we're going to have more. We're pulling together like 50 volunteers, which includes at least 15 KDH Ocean Rescue, the group that was here earlier. They have offered to volunteer to help us as well. One of the conditions came back indicating that we could not utilize any of the town's resources, i.e. vehicles, to assist us, nor could we have any kind of trucks or anything on the beach. And that one just kind of, okay, how are we going to pull this off? And that's the one that we've been really wrestling with and trying to figure out how we can make it happen. So we've had many meetings to try to figure this out. And ultimately, what I'm saying is, I understand the concerns that was brought up in the meeting from the chief. Greatly respect that, no problem at all. We were moving forward, but really what we would like to have would be the assistance of the vehicles, or the access to the vehicles. We already have the volunteers to drive them, to help us bring the equipment on and off the beach the day of the event. And that would help us out tremendously. And it would, I think it would also overcome the big concern about setting up the night before. So.
The problem again is the liability, isn't it?
The liability, and one thing that I think it's important, excuse me, I'm a little under the weather tonight. One thing I think is important to keep in mind is last year's event was on April 21st, I think was the date, totally different time of year. So the lifeguards that were around and available to help weren't already stationed on the beach. So that puts a whole different perspective on them being able to, after the event's over, remove and help with your breakdown, because by then we'll be 10:30, 11 o'clock. Their priority's got to be keeping our beaches safe and the patrons safe. And those vehicles, obviously the priority there is for what we need to do with our beach operations. I think we can make a call and find out about liability. I don't know, though, before we make that call, as far as any of the staging, the equipment, and caution taping it, do you guys have the volunteers that would sit overnight is basically what I'm hearing a suggestion with every lifeguard stand that you're staging equipment. I don't know how many stands we have in that. I mean, is that 10 or 11 stands?
9.
9. So, I mean, would you have 9 people to sit out overnight on the beach?
We haven't pursued that as an option. So could we get them? I don't know. So that's 9 people that would be there from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., 5 a.m. So that's a tough one. I mean, our volunteer base, we utilize them. They're great. They help us out tremendously. That one would be tough. So.
Well, can I suggest that we call and check our liability if they put people, if it's taped and they have people that present, we check that with our liability, and the answer might be no. If you will see if you could raise the volunteers, the 9 volunteers or 18 volunteers, however you would man that and stage that logistically, and that might help a little bit, but it doesn't sound like there's a lot that can be done. And it sounds like maybe the answer on liability may be no. I don't know. Doesn't.
I don't know either. We
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
asked that question.
But could we do that?
I had understood at one time there had been some talk about sheriff's deputies were going to do the manning.
No, Erwin
Is that
had
right?
mentioned that he was checking. Well, he was, yeah, he'd mentioned that, but I don't know.
But I don't guess that didn't.
No.
That didn't pan out.
No, that didn't work out.
I don't know. I don't know what to think that the liability folks would say. The insurance people would say. I would think that if it were off-duty law enforcement, that would have a more positive than just a volunteer.
Yeah.
But I'll be glad to call.
Well, if you would, I would appreciate it very much. But and on the other hand, I don't think it's appropriate for commissioners to interfere in stuff they don't know anything about. So I don't know anything about the liability. So if it can't be done, it can't be done. So, but I think if we could do that, I think that would be of some help. I don't think it'd be a lot, but I think it would give them a little bit better chance.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. I appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking a look at it.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Rubin?
I just want to thank the lifeguards again that we're all here. They do a great job, and the fact that they were later, we didn't think about that. Sometimes when you change the time frame, I wonder sometimes how many people were missing. But it was great to see all the locals and all the smiling faces. And today really was a nice day to be out on the beach. And with that, we've talked a lot today about public service folks and the firemen and the police officers. And there's a couple that I just want to mention. Mark Evans had something happen recently and actually saved a life. So I definitely want to commend him on that. I know he will be very respectful and say that he was just in the right place at the right time. But I think you don't quite give yourself enough credit on that sometimes. So he made a call and actually used an AED to save someone's life. So thank you for that. And thanks to the town for having an AED in that one police car. When I asked the question, how many AEDs do we have in all the police cars that we have, the answer was 1. So that individual was extremely fortunate that you happened to be the one to respond. So thank you to that. And also today, while I happened to be perusing Facebook, I noticed there was a KDH police officer that had a picture taken of him assisting a tourist change his tire. I do not know that police officer's name, but I do know it was a Kill Devil Hills police officer. So I want to thank that police officer, and it was posted on the Mama Kwan site, so I can say that was
Kevin Cherry actually sent an email and took the
Wonderful.
picture, one of our residents and business owners.
That is absolutely to commend the town of Kill Devil Hills for that. It's great publicity, and it just shows what a great job y'all are doing. You don't always get the commendation for what you're doing. I know you always hear the bad stuff that's going on, and I just again want to say thank you. Y'all are doing a great job, Chief.
Thank you. Okay. Under mayor's agenda, I was going to bring the thing up about the.
Sorry.
No, but thank you for doing that. And Debbie and I received an email earlier today from Chuck Poe. He and his wife were in an accident at the corner of Landing and the bypass Saturday, week before last, so June 1st, around 1:30 in the afternoon. They were headed north on the bypass and were struck, I guess a T-bone is what you would consider that, by someone, I'm guessing, coming through the light at Landing, and he was going approximately 50 miles an hour. Anyway, fortunately, neither the woman driving the other vehicle or Chuck and his wife were severely injured, but both cars were totaled. I think they were all really, really lucky as far as their injuries, but he sent an email today just expressing his and his wife's gratitude for the timely response from all of police, fire, and EMS, and just the exceptional care they were given. And anyway, it certainly meant a lot to he and his wife, so thank you for all that responded, and it's nice to hear those good stories. The only other thing I had is just from the Community Appearance Commission, just an update. I was not able to attend the last meeting. I was out of town, but I did receive a report that they have decided as a committee to recommend postponing the trash attack until the until the spring of 2014. Their concern was because we haven't had an outpouring of people stepping up to really serve, that we wouldn't have the volunteer effort to really host this thing this fall. And they also were thinking it might leave too little of time to try to work with the school, since they'll just be getting back into the school year. So the recommendation was something they definitely still want to support doing, but choosing a date for the spring of 2014. So that's all I have. Town manager's agenda?
Nothing this evening, ma'am.
Town attorney's agenda?
Don't have anything else for you.
Okay. The consent agenda?
Yes, ma'am, just one item on the consent agenda, and that would be the minutes from the May 24th, 2013 Commissioners meeting, and would recommend approval of the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. This is the, now moving on the agenda, the second time set aside for public comment. Is there anyone this evening that wishes to speak at public comment? Okay. Well, with that, I certainly thank you all for coming out, and does anyone have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Any further discussion or comments? All those in favor, please signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, good evening. Thank you all.
Thank you.